Yeah, my name's Melanie Nelson. My grandmother was born into Seabird Island and married into Samahquam, and that's the First Nation that I'm registered to, and that is one of a group that make up Tsleil-Waututh Nation. Her father is also Squamish, which is a Stolo Nation, and my dad is French Canadian and Danish. I'm an assistant professor in the School and Applied Child Psychology program, and my position um, has an Indigenous focus. So my work now, a lot of it is with psychologists, decolonizing their practice, and I also work with other clinicians like occupational therapists and speech language pathologists, teachers, administrators, just around trying to understand, you know, from a differences in worldview perspective, how Indigenous children and families experience the Western education system. I think the research that is the most relevant for the early years is around inclusive education and Indigenous perspectives on disability and their experiences with Western systems. So working with the clinicians that I work with, one of the things that I think people find the most useful is when I share the stories of parents that have talked to me about their experiences with Western systems. And when I explain, so for example, there's one mom who talked to me about how her son at school, when he was in kindergarten, was sent home all the time. Even though it was full day kindergarten in BC by this point, he was sent home at lunch all the time because they couldn't handle his behavior. But when they went back home, because they're Cree and they're from, I think from Ontario, when they went back home for a powwow, in the morning, someone had placed a feather fan outside of their door. He was identified as a backward spirit, which is a gifted person from the perspective of the community, because he teaches people that you don't have to do everything the same way, and that he's a leader, and she said that he's going to teach them so much, and so they recognize that from him as a child. But from the Western perspective, like in the school system, she said he has ADHD, he's defiant, and she said he's all of these things that they look at and they think this is special. So that idea of like leadership, instead of looking at it as a deficit, is just such a different way of seeing the child. And so for educators not to understand that that is the experience for a lot of parents is really going to put a rift in the relationship, because the parent's going to know that they're not being heard or they're not being understood. Well, I think I used interpretive phenomenological analysis because I was really interested in the experiences of caregivers. It's definitely like participatory action, community driven, because working with the Indigenous community, research has to be centered on what the community wants, and it has to support Indigenous sovereignty. And so basically I'm just there kind of as a tool, and they tell me what to do, and I am there like in service of them. So it makes most sense for them to be actively guiding it the whole way. And the community wants to. I think something I didn't realize was, well, I mean, there's a lot of things I didn't realize when I did that, the research around parent experience with assessment and diagnosis. I didn't realize how active the trauma is for so many caregivers that are still interacting with the system. So, for example, one woman really wanted to participate because she really wanted her story heard because it was really upsetting for her, and she wanted me to share it so that other people wouldn't do the same thing. But then when it came to the day where we were going to meet at the school, and it was a youth worker who set it up. He had a great relationship with her. So I was waiting in his office, and she was supposed to just come right in because she knows where his office is. They have a good relationship, but she didn't come. And then he contacted her and asked if everything was okay. And she said that she would be there, and she didn't come. And anyway, they went back and forth, and we offered to go there. So he was going to come with me. She said she didn't want to do that. She said she really wanted to come to the school to do it. So he went and picked her up and brought her. But because of her like past trauma with schools, like to physically be in the building was so uncomfortable for her that she ran from the front door straight to his office to where I was and like slammed the door because just being in that space was so overwhelming and traumatic to her. Being in his space was comfortable because, well, when she's there, she's with him. But the school itself, like the institution, the building, is extremely traumatic. I think going back to what's happening in communities with the education jurisdiction agreements, I think there's a lot of communities that have like already signed had previously signed a treaty, so they already have, control over their education. But for the communities that haven't, this is new, and it's pretty big change. And I guess I'm excited in that I'm happy that communities are taking control of their education because that's the way it should have been the entire time. But yeah, I'm a little worried about how much control the Western systems are still going to have. And also like when a kid, if the kid leaves that school and goes into a Western school, they're going to need to have that, the assessment and paperwork and whatnot. And when they transfer to post-secondary, when you go to the Center for Accessibility, most schools, you have to show what you've been doing in grade 11 or 12, like which services you've been getting. So, yeah.